Green technology, not taxes. That was the message from the Conservative leader Andrew Scheer yesterday as he unveiled his party's environmental platform. And while it aims to shift the onus for emission reductions away from individuals over to industry, questions this morning being raised about whether those promises hold any water. Joining us with more is Chair of Canada's Eco-Fiscal Commission, Christopher Reagan. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, just a reminder to people, Andrew Scheer promised this platform would not contain a carbon tax. They were clear on that. But a central piece of this plan requires companies that emit more than 40 kilotons of carbon emissions every year to invest in green technology, so research and development. Since the big polluters are going to be forced to pay something, does this not just amount to a carbon tax in another form?
Well, I think you're right. If you are going to require firms who are emitting beyond a threshold to put money into a bucket that looks like a carbon tax, and then you're forcing that money to go into technological development, which is in principle a good thing, and then it depends on how you're managing that. But so there is a carbon price, or it appears that there is a carbon price in the Conservative plan, but they have exempted or removed in their plan the existing carbon price that applies to all households and all small business. So they have exempted between 50 and 65% of total emissions in Canada. So it's really hard to imagine how they think they're going to achieve significant emissions reductions with a climate plan that basically ignores up to 2/3 of emissions.
Is it greenwashing to say we're going to pull back on taxing big industry, we're going to make them put it into research and development, so it looks like we're moving ahead with green initiatives, but is it greenwashing? Maybe
greenwashing, maybe it's wishful thinking. So I think it's important to realize that technological improvements can really help us reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I think that's right, but you can't just wish into existence new technologies. And you can put a green patent tax credit in place, but that's not going to make Canada a hub of green innovation. And in fact, I would argue that a carbon price and a rising carbon price over time is one of the best ways to drive innovation because it increases the business attractiveness of anything that's low carbon.
But voters don't like it.
Some voters don't like it.
Some voters don't like it.
But voters overwhelmingly want action on climate change. And the reason why economists and the Eco-Fiscal Commission favors a carbon price is that it is the best way for the economy. It's the lowest cost way to reduce emissions. So you want to reduce emissions and you want a prosperous economy, a carbon price is the way to go. And for the most part, the Conservative plan doesn't have that.
All right, let's compare it to the Liberals' plan and the NDP, who recently just rolled out their plan as well.
So the government plan, the Liberal plan, has a carbon price. They've also paid attention to the competitiveness issue for firms. That's the output-based pricing. It's a little complex, but they're mindful of the competitiveness pressures. The Conservative government isn't really paying attention to that. They're giving rebates. The current government plan is giving rebates back to households. Well, the Conservative plan actually is basically ignoring households, both in terms of emissions reductions and in terms of rebates. Both of the parties are talking about trying to get credits in the international system for low-carbon exports. Now, Canada will benefit if it exports low-carbon technologies or liquefied natural gas, for example, that help other countries reduce their emissions. And we will get benefits from those exports, but we're not going to get credit from the international system. It's hard to believe that 196 other countries are going to give us some sort of accounting credit for that.
I know that the Eco-Fiscal Commission is made up largely of economists and of academics, but for average Joe who has been told the Liberals' plan is going to cost me money, it's going to cost me more to drive my kids to school, how does the Conservative plan stack up to that?
Well, I would say for the current Liberal plan, it's actually not going to cost households things. The prices are going to go up because of the carbon price, but they're getting sizable rebates back in taxes precisely to address that issue. The Conservative plan isn't going to go through that, but the Conservative plan also isn't going to reduce your emissions.
Good to have you here on an important day to dissect through all of this stuff. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.